Do you like Austin Powers? Do you like pinball? Then well done, you're basically the target market for Austin Powers Pinball. Released on the PlayStation 1 in 2002, it was developed by Wildflower Studios and published by Gotham Games. I'd never heard of Wildflower Games, so as you do, I checked out their Wikipedia page. It turns out that they're actually Australian and have released pinball games almost exclusively since 1995. Although, a cross-check of their actual website shows no update since 2012, and that showed more of a focus on the casual market. So yeah, I found that somewhat interesting since they're Australian and I'm, you know. Anyway, licensed games have always been somewhat worrisome, especially those by smaller, unknown developers. Alarm bells were starting to ring before I even put the game in my PlayStation, since on the blurb on the back of the case, it only mentions tables based on International Man of Mystery and The Spy Who Shagged Me. What about the third film, Goldmember? That was released roughly half a year before, yet there is no mention of it whatsoever. So yeah, let's pop that disc in to find out more and... Sorry, there was supposed to be a funny Austin Powers quote here to kickstart the review, but I couldn't really find anything suitable, so... Let's just get on with the review. Instead of talking about any possible storyline like I usually do at the start of these reviews, I think it would be better to show how you, as the player, are introduced to the game. The storyline of Austin Powers speaks for itself, so it's not worth going into, but the introductory presentation of this pinball spin-off speaks a million words. Beyond all the splash screens for the developers and whatever else upon booting up the disc, we're greeted with the start screen. Now, I'm not usually a stickler for menus or start screens, but a static image on a black background doesn't instantly inspire confidence. I mean, at least have the text that says, press start button flashing or oscillating or something. Let's not overlook that music either. Sounds like 60s elevator music to me, although that very well could be deliberate. Pressing the start button as asked will lead to the main menu and, oh, behave! There's spinning flowers now, just like how they taught me to do in Year 9 Macromedia Flash class. Otherwise, we have access to the two tables and the options menu of that same exciting black void. The options menu does look a bit more shagadelic, although the selection of actual options is basic at best. Selecting one of the tables brings you to a very similar looking menu, where you're given a synopsis, rules, and modes to select. While there does seem to be a healthy assortment of modes, they're all fairly samey. The only difference between novice and regular is that a ball saver is active for several minutes in the novice mode, while the arcade mode gives you 3 balls compared to 5. The tournament mode simply removes any power balls or point bonuses, so if you do decide to have a tournament with Austin Powers Pinball, it will be standardized. Exciting! Enough about the menus though, let's check out the meat and 2 veg of the actual gameplay. There was a real Austin Powers pinball machine produced by Stern in 2001, although the 2 tables included in this game are unrelated except for the namesake. Initially, I was quite impressed by the tables. There's a multitude of rules and missions included in both that should keep you entertained for a little while at least. Being a fan of the movies meant that I also enjoyed all the sound bites included.
You're a tiger!
For an example of the gameplay, in the Spy Who Shagged Me table, you must take out Dr. Evil's henchman. Additionally, you can activate the time portal to rescue your mojo by taking out the targets that spell the word time. There's quite a lot to do like this across both tables through the magic of balls, flippers, and bumpers. You can even nudge the table, although I was never able to ascertain how helpful this actually was, and if you do it too much, then the flippers are locked until you lose a ball. Otherwise, as far as the gameplay goes, there's not a whole lot more to say. Simply, it's pinball. Everyone knows how a pinball game plays. If anything, I'd argue that the physics on the ball feel a tad too floaty, but otherwise, the presentation of the tables are of a reasonably high quality. Well, compared to the menus anyway. If I were to guess, it doesn't appear that textured 3D objects have been used at all. Instead, everything looks to be formed by 2D sprites. These are of a nice resolution and don't include much in the way of pixelation or blurriness. There's even a portion of the screen dedicated to the machine's LCD, showing clips from the movies, slogans, and the score just like it would on a real pinball machine. While I found the gameplay to be addictive while playing, it's easy to see and do everything in a short amount of time. After a few hours, I had no drive to play anymore and never touched again. What the game is ultimately lacking is content. While a gold member table seems like the obvious choice, I was relieved when I found out that this game only costs $8 brand new. While that softens the blow of its length by quite a bit, I still can't get around the fact that it has as much content as many demos of the time. I'm hesitant to call this a cheap cash-in because that's an equally cheap comment to make, but it kind of is. Sure, there was a surprising amount of depth and references to the movie that this probably did take at least a little bit of effort to produce, but there's still that lingering feeling that this was made solely to make a buck out of Austin Powers fans. I still can't get around the content problem either. I mean sure, I did enjoy the tables as I was playing them, but there's hardly any replay value here. I mean, seriously, look how short this review is. Sure, you can save your high scores and beat them later on, but you could also play just about any other game instead as well.